Hi everyone, good evening. How are you all? I'm Dhwani from Geeks and I will be the host for today's session. If I'm perfectly audible and visible to you all, kindly give a thumbs up in the chat. I'm sure all of you are very excited for today's session and I look forward to learning a lot from today's guest who has taken out time from his schedule to be here today. And I'm really very happy to welcome Mr. Aditya. Hi Aditya,
Hi Dhwani. Hello guys. Welcome.
how are you?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm good too, thank you. So, firstly, I would like to take up this opportunity to welcome you and kindly ask you to introduce yourself.
Okay, sure. So thank you. I'm Aditya. I'm working with MongoDB as a consulting engineer as of now. I hope I'm audible and I'm clear, right? Yeah, I carry with me around 10 years of experience of working into finance domain. Previous to this, I was working with a leading bank in India. You would have obviously used the bank. I was developing their Java based LMS, something like when you take a loan, how that loan is processed, how that goes through. And since such things are required to be quite secure, that's why like I in my entire career of 10 years I've been working entirely on Java. And if I talk about my education, I'm a graduate from BITS Pilani. I did my MTech from there, and I did my engineering from Galgodia College in Greater Noida.
That's great to hear. I myself am an engineering student, and like you told us about you, like you've been doing Java and you work with MongoDB. So I heard somewhere that if you're an engineering student, you must know Java and you must have a great hold of a database. I personally am working on MongoDB, so I guess I'll stay connected with you soon. So
Sure.
I guess we can just start with the session. Aditya, you can present your screen.
Okay, sure. I'll present my screen sharing, guys. Please confirm if you are able to see my screen. I'm just presenting a Chrome tab right now for you guys to be clear and visible. So, do you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it's loading. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So, welcome all of you. So, let me know, are we waiting for someone or shall we get started?
I guess we can start with the session. We have a pretty
Sure,
good
thank you.
number.
Sure, thank you. So, first of all, like what is very important for I'll just refresh my board for a bit. And is it visible now? Yeah, it's visible now. Now, I hope all of you and most of you while working or while studying would have encountered a concept known as hash map. And when we talk around a hash map, one thing is very important for us, or what we look forward to is, okay, anyone knows what hash map is? I hope all of you are aware that hash map is nothing but a key value pair. So, like for example, let's say I'm storing list of students. So when I store a list of students, I store their ID, which is and their value. So let's say I have a student whose ID is 1, and in a value, I have a whole student object whose value is something like, name ABC, and then what college you are in. Let's call it Amity for now. Correct? Now, when we have this kind of structure, one thing is, Hashmap is used as a fundamental base for almost all of our programming questions. So let it be your interviews, let it be your hands-on coding exercises, let it be actual working. We always use hash maps to store these key value pair. Now, why is it that we are interested in hash map? Anyone you would have thought of, or any reasons you can think of? Like, why will we be interested in Hashmap? Yes, the answer for that is Hashmap is a collection which allows insertion and deletion and fetching. All these three options are allowed in bigger of one, which means like it is much faster and much easier to insert, retrieve, and delete data. Correct, guys? I hope it's making sense. And what I've talked till now is no alien concepts to you. So you all are aware about this. Moving ahead from here, so this is an advantage. Now the disadvantage of hash map is hash maps typically don't follow an ordered. So like they are not ordered collection. Anyone who is aware of what is an ordered collection? Like for example, if I'm inserting records, like I insert an ID 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. So when I insert all these IDs, so it may be stored in random order. Like when I'm retrieving them, I may get them as 2, 3, 1, 5, and then 4. Making sense? So only disadvantage of Hashmap is it's typically unordered. Correct, guys? I hope it's making sense still here, and all of you are good with this part. Now, once you are good with this kind of structure, it is important. Like it raises two questions for us. The very first question is, why do hash maps allow? Let's call them HMAP for right now. Why do HashMap allows all major operations in bigger of one time? And the next is, why are hash maps unordered? Because these two questions can be typically very important. Like this one is very important if you are preparing for an interview, and this one is important for understanding from a coding angle, like should you use a hash map or should you go for other operations. Correct, guys? Now, the reason and the answer to both these logics or both these questions are in one term, which is known as hashing. Anyone who is aware about what does the term hashing means? Yeah, let's wait for you to answer. Yes, typically yes. Hashing is a script, or it's basically an algorithm or a function which gives us some unique value. Like for example, let's say I have a hash function, and in the function when I pass a value, let's say I'm passing 1, it will give me, let's say, an hash x. Correct, guys? Now when I pass hash 2, I get a value as, let's say, hash y. These are some random values. Typically, from the standpoint of Java, a hash code function or hashing will return you an integer. But hashing can never be limited to integer. It can typically be anything, and like it can be of any type. It could be a character, it could be a string, it could be a integer also. Now, the beauty of the hashing function lies in the approach that, so now if you have done hash of 1, you get hash of y. You do hash of 2, you get hash of y. Now when you do hash of 1 again, the beauty of hashing is it will always give you hash x. How many of you are clear with this part? Anyone who is not able to follow this particular part can let me know, because this is what forms the basic. So what is the logic of hashing? The logic behind hashing is that no matter whatever you use in hashing, it will always and it will forever give you the same function when you give the same input. So for the same input, you will always get the same output. Is it making sense? Yeah. Can I move ahead? Assuming that answer to be a yes, let's move and let's understand how we store hash maps in Java. I'm just writing a very simple statement. I'm taking a hash map. Now, hash map has a key value. How many of you understand this term? I hope almost all of you. Exactly, that's good to know. And we make an object of this and we can give it a new hash map. Correct, guys? If this part is clear to all of you, then it is good time to understand. So when you create a hash map or when you create this hm, how it internally is working is something which we'll be seeing in this entire session. Sure, guys, can I move ahead now? Okay. uh, that will bring you to a very important question. You can be frequently asked in interviews that which are the two main or two most used collections. Hashmap and array list are the two most used collection inside Java. Correct. So let's get started. So when you create a hash map, let's say I create a hash map and I call a put function, I'm just creating a very simple hash map for an for a for an integer value or for a normal string value. I say Aditya, and I am storing some value. Let's say my degree. So it's BTech and this. Now the beauty is what happens and what the entire logic of this statement is what will define us the actual purpose of a hash map. Sure, guys. So the entire session today is revolve around how does a put work and how does a get in hash map can work. Sure. Without further break, I'll continue. And once you are studying around hash map, there are two concepts which you should be understanding, which you should have understanding of. The first concept is known as the hash code, and the second concept is known as the equals method. Now, hashcode method comes from the object class, and in Java, by default, hashcode is always of the type integer. So it is something like public int hashcode, and there is some logic, and based on that, I get the hashcode of a object. Guys, am I making sense till here? Anyone who is not able to follow? Now, two things to note. This is a Java implementation of hashcode. It can vary from language to language and in your use case also. Now, I'm understanding the hashcode method, and based on my previous example of the hashing method, that hash is what we call as hashcode in Java. Equals method I am parking for a moment right now. Once I discuss the get, I will be coming and discussing the equals method. Does that make sense? I hope there are no questions from any one of you. Perfect. Now, moving further is, let's assume that I have to insert a random, key value pair. So I have a key value pair, which is something like this. Okay, yes. So I have a key value pair. This is my key, and this is a value, right? So I have a key value pair. I have 15 over here. I have 17. I have 9. I have, let's say, 7. And let's say I have 6. Guys, does that make sense? Now 15 has a value. Let's call this value as A, D, I, T, and Y. Does that make sense? Now, what I've taken is I have taken a hash method. So in the hash method, I'll pass the key, and I assuming that typically typically how we define a hash, I will be talking around some basics around what should be the good strategy to define a hash. But let's pause that for a bit. Let's say that I have taken a hash as key modulo 7. Whatever is the output is my hash. Does that make sense, guys, all of you? Can I move ahead now? So now, what happens is internally, this entire structure is stored on a thing or on a structure which is known as hash table. So what is hash table basically? It's something like this. It's a table of things. Now, when you do a modulo of 7, what can be an output? Any one of you. If I'm doing a modulo of a number 7, what can be an output? I can get any number from 0 to 6. So the modulo of 7 cannot be greater than or less than 0 to 6. How many of you agree with this? If all of you agree, then I draw down all the hash keys on this table. It's cutting a bit. I'll just decrease the size. Yes, guys. I hope the screen is still visible, right? Now, what happens is, so now this is my hash method. This is the map I am planning to insert. And based on this, we will be inserting some data. So what I get is I get a key, which is 15. And what is 15 modulo 7? 15 modulo 7 is 1, right? Correct. So I go over here. So as soon as this number come, I come over here on 1. I see, does this 1 have anything, right? Now, it is a good time for us to understand what is a node. This hash table will be having node stored on this table. How the node will look like? Node is nothing but node stores a key, node stores a value, and node stores somehow the address of the next node. If you are able to understand this, you shall be able to relate this to a linked list. Correct, guys? So, what is exactly happening over here? So, as soon as I come over here, I get a node which is stored. The key is 15, the value is A, and this node right now is not pointing to any node. Does that make sense to all of you? So this, I got a key one using the hashcode method, which is available inside my object class. And this is the node which I has created. Now, I get the second one, which is 17. What is 17 modulo 7? It's 3, right? I come over here, I get the same structure, and I insert over here 17, D, and the next node is still null. Correct, guys? So what happens when we get 9? When I get 9, 9 is 2, I get 9 something like this. I, and the next is null. Correct, guys? Now let's just modify this. Actually, I took this wrong. Let's make this as 8. So now I am done with inserting of 1, 2, and 3 records. I will now be inserting the 8th record, or this record with the key value with the key 8. As soon as I come over here to insert what is 8 modulo 7, I get 1. As soon as I get 1 over here, now what happens is, this is the kind of collision which will happen. Why? Because as soon as I get 1, it finds a value is already existing for 1, which is not a likely scenario. So what it will do now is the logic and the time to understand the equals method. Correct? So what is equal method? Equal method is typically used to compare two objects. Now what I have is, I know that my key is an integer number. I and the equal methods understand this. So equal method comes over here, it says, hey, the key is 15. And what key I am inserting now? I am inserting 8. It, which means these two keys are now different. So it takes this pointer and generates another object of the same node with 8 and t, and this next is null. Is this part clear to everyone? Anyone who is not able to understand this can stop me and I can repeat this part. Yeah, guys. Anyone who is not able to follow? Anyone who is not able to follow? Perfect. Now, so assuming this part, because see, this is what forms, this part which we are talking around is what forms as a, as a main concept behind the get logic. So make sure this part is very much clear to you, right? Now, I come to 6, I take 6, I take y, 6 and y, and then I move ahead and I take the pointer to be null. Guys, anyone having any doubts still here? Now comes another good scenario. Now I get 8 and A. So what will happen? Can anyone think? Now, as soon as I get this over here,
Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you. There are a few, like, people are asking you to kindly repeat the equals
Okay,
method.
sure. That's okay. That's why I took a pause. I know some of you might be not able to follow. So, guys, understand this part. Now, let's take it like this. I have you have to follow it. You have to understand a structure that when I have a key. So right now my key is of the type integer, right? Now it is very easy to compare two integers, right? So what Java has done, Java has already given an equal method to us using which we can compare two objects. Now, how do we override? I will be covering that in a bit. Just hold on for that. But is it rocket science to understand Like in this scenario, is 15 equal to 8? Anyone? Just use, let's use our normal minds. Let's not get into how Java is doing it. I'll be showing it to you how this equal part exactly works. Just hold on for a bit. But see, the reason why I took integer was because it is very easy to compare integers. So Java knows this is an integer. Java knows 15 is not equal to 8. So what Java will do, Java will create a connection, a linked list like structure, and insert a new node over here. How many of you get this part now? Exactly. That's good. Exactly. So now that brings us to a very important question. So thanks, Bhavin, for pointing this out. Now, equals method will have a return type which is Boolean. Why? It would either say that the value which I compare, either it can be true or it can be a false value. So let's park on for that. So it will either give me a true and it will either give me a false. So in this case, equals was false. How many of you are agreeing with this part? How many of you agree that equals is false over here in this part, over here in this scenario? Sure. Good. Thank you, guys. Now we are stuck at a very interesting junction, and this is that junction. I am inserting 8 over here. So what is 8 modulo 7? 8 modulo 7 is 1. I come to the key 1. On the 1, I have a list item which is 15a. Is 15 equal to 8? So is this object equal to this object? Yes or no? True or false? Yes, it is false. Now comes a very good scenario. It is false. I go on to next node. I say, is 8 equal to 8? Yes, guys. Is 8 equal to 8? Exactly. That's good. So now, when 8 is equal to 8, what Java will do? It will simply take this and it will update the value of this node from T to be A. How many of you get this part? So now what will happen is I will have a map in memory in Java which is 15a, 17d, 9i, and 8t, sorry, 8a and 6y. How many of you are able to understand this part? So typically what happens is since the keys for both of these were same, Java could only store one key. Why? Because hash map are designed in a way that they can store only unique keys. That's a learning, right? All of you. Does this make sense? Anyone who is not able to follow? Anyone who is not able to follow? Perfect. Thank you. Now, this is my logic of put. All of you are getting this part. So what are our learnings? Our first learning is that hashcode method gives us a number using which we generate a hash table. Hash table is a list of keys which are in a hash map, and based on the hash table, each hash table can have a linked list of its own in which it will contain multiple keys which have the same hash code. How many of you understand this part? Okay, sure. So what is Hashmap? Hashmap stores a key, and I'll just use this part. Hashmap stores keys and value. Internally, Hashmap uses hash table to store data. Hash table is nothing but all the possible keys of a hash map. Now, based on these keys, each of these keys can have a linked list of its own, which is an actual key value pair, which can either be saved or can be fetched. Pankaj, is it making sense now? Anyone who is not able to follow? If all of you are able to follow, I have a question for you. Now, can anyone help me understand why is this hash map unordered? Come on, guys. You have seen a hash map on your own right now, right? You see a hash map. Can you judge why hash map is unordered? Come on, come on, come on, everyone, anyone. I hope all of you should be able to answer it, but think. Now, how is it possible for me to maintain order? Why? Because once I get a key, I insert. So I get a key, I insert the key. Now, these keys can be in any order. Now, when I start to pull this hash map, or when I start to pull this particular hash map, I could get 15, 8, then 9, then 17, then 6. Or I could also get something like 15, 9, 17, 6, and then 8. The exact order is neither maintained nor I can store them. Does it make sense? So that kind of answers our two questions. Exactly. It's complex because this table is the underlying structure on which my entire map is based. Because this table will give me the keys. Based on these table keys, I'll get these keys and I'll start iterating over. When I get these keys and I iterate over, I may not get the keys in the exact same order as I was inserting them. Come on, guys. Yes or no? Make sense or no? Okay, sure. Okay, repeat. Okay, sure, I'll repeat it. Not a problem. So, do you understand this part that now this hash table? Okay, see this key map, this key value pair. I'm inserting 15, 17, 9, 8, 6, 8. Correct. When I insert 15, 15 goes to the first key, right? 17 goes to the third one. 9 goes to the second one. Now, the key comes from over here and I store them on these keys in a hash table. Now, why it cannot be ordered? Because I am not sure which element was inserted first. It could be a case that 15 was inserted first. It could be a case 17 was inserted first. It could be a case that 6 was inserted first. The exact order I am not sure. Why? Because so now think, how will I get this? Think logically. Now imagine if I have to get, so I pass on a statement, get me the value of key 9. How will I get this? So what will I do? I will run a hash of 9. What is hash of 9? 9 modulo 7, which is 2. I come to 2, I get 9. Correct? Now this hash table is sitting in middle, which I cannot order because it is storing data on the basis of the keys. Is it making sense, all of you? Now, but some implementation. Yeah, Hussein, what you are saying is correct. There is another variety or another variant which we can keep it for other day. But you know what it does? It maintains a ordered list. So let's skip that for some other time. Some of the hash map variants can offer that, but when you go for such kind of scenario, it would mean that you have to keep a space reserved for the ordering also, which can slow down the purpose why we use hashmap, because insert, delete, and fetching, all three are in big of one time. Anyone who is not able to follow it? Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So typically, like, see, think. So this is another point which I will just give me a bit for this. Just give me a bit for this. I will be coming to it in a bit. Just hold on. Now, so we are done with the put function. Now let's move on to the get function. using which we will be having a better clarity of the stuff. Correct, guys? Can I move ahead? And then I'll be coming to all these questions. I'm clearing this mess. It's difficult to follow. I will be clearing this, drawing out a new hash table, and showing you some sample examples of get query. Can I do that? Yes or no? Okay, correct, guys. This was my hash map 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the 0 was not having any data. 1 was having two data items, 15 and A. Then next was 8 and A. And the next of this is null. Then 2 was having 9. Let's keep any values, right? Let's not get into values right now. And then I think 4 was having what? 4 was having 17 or 19, right? 17, 14, 14 plus 4 is 18, 11. 11. Let's keep this as a hash map. So the put part is what we have discussed. Let's get into the get part. Now, when you say a hash map, you have a function which is hm dot get. In the get, you pass on the key. So I'm passing the key as, let's assume, 9. So when I pass on the key 9, what are the steps? The first step is this get method. What this get method will do, this get method will first take the key, run the hash code of the key, which will give me what? This hash code will give me 9 modulo 7, which is 2. And then it goes, take this key, and then goes back to the hash table, gets the key, and then comes over here. As soon as it comes over here to the starting of the list item, it tries to compare this element with this key, because this is a key, right? So this key has 9, and the key I had passed also has 9. So what it does, it then runs a equals method on 9 equal to 9. If it's true, it takes out this value and simply displays back the value is this. So whatever is the output. How many of you are clear with this part? Yes, guys. How many of you are clear with this? Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you. Now let's take a typical scenario. This was a happy case, only one value, right? Now I say that, hey HM, you get me 8. Now, what will happen? Can anyone tell me the step for this? So, what the first step is, it will do a hash code. That step will remain common. Hash code of 8 will give me 1. I get over here. Once I land, I get this entire object. From this object, the first object which I receive is 15. How many of you are clear with this? So when I get 15, what it does, it checks, it runs a equals method on 15 equal to 8. The answer is false. If the answer is false, it goes back to the next element. Correct, guys? And when it goes back to the next one, it then again runs equals and says, is 8 equal to 8? And since these two are equal, I get true. Guys, does it make sense to all of you? So the use of equals is clear, the use of hash code is clear. Can I assume that? Okay, perfect, perfect. That's good, that's good. So if all of you are able to follow this, these are our two use cases on which we are running the entire flow or running our entire application of Hashmap. Correct, guys? Now, just hold on for a bit. Give me a moment. Now, what I'll do is I'll just stop my screen sharing for just a bit, and I will now take you to understand I'll take you to the object class where we will be seeing the actual working of the equals method and the hash code method. So just hold on for a bit. Java source code. Now I'll share my screen, guys, and I say share screen. I say share screen, and I'm sharing my window, which is my browser window. Okay, yeah. Now, if you okay, so I've opened a JDK 7 file, but the use case is same because that is what we are doing. Now you see that we were talking around two functions. You see this public boolean equals object. So what it means, it says that this is a boolean, and this will give me a boolean. It will be an equals method, and it will accept the input as an object. The input can be, the object can be anything. And if this is equals, this is what I was doing right in my code. If you see my example, this is what I was doing. 15 double equals to 8. And based on this, it will either give me a true or it will give me a false. How many of you are good with the equals part? And this, we move on further to the hash code method. Let me just find the definition of the hash code. Give me a moment. Yeah. So now what it does is it has internally a hash code method. So whenever you are writing an object, you would see a value coming, and when you print that object, you get a value like student at the rate some number. That number is nothing but a hash code. So guys, if this is good, then can I move on and can we cover a small example of how things are working with a real project, guys? So I will say hash map working. I create a file, guys. I'm just I'll be sharing my Eclipse in a bit. Let me just get the at least a file ready for you guys. Then I'll be sharing it. Okay. So just give me a second. This is test. My Eclipse was hanging. Yes, it is working now. I'll stop my browser and I jump back to the uh, share screen, share, and we are in the Eclipse. All of you are able to see my Eclipse now. Yes or no, guys? Everyone.
Yes, your
Yes, guys.
screen is
Is my yeah, it's visible? Sure, perfect. So let's first do a quick demo of a hash map. Let's create a hash map. How we write a hash map? We say hash map. It is a key value hash map. So I'm taking the key to be a string for it now, and I take it to be an integer, and I take it to be a hm equal to new hash map. Perfect, guys. Does it make sense? Now I'll say hm dot put. I'll put a string key. Now, what is the key, guys? Any one of you can tell me any string names. Let's start with some dummy names. Let's say, uh, John. And I give him an integer value as 100. Correct, guys? I put Rocky as a next integer. I give him a value as 85. I again write John. This John, I give him 90. I let this John be there and I give him a value of 1. And then I use this, I replace this John to be Wiki and I give him a value of, let's say, 45. Guys, is this part clear that this is how you will create a hash map? Now, what hash map has? Let's print out the size of the hash map. So we can even do that, and we say hash map size. I go over here. I say hm dot size. Guys, does it make sense, all of you? Now, now what we do whenever I have to print on John, right? Let's say I have to get a value. So what typically we do is we don't get the value directly. We have a function in hash map which is contains key. So what is contains key? Contains key is a function which we typically use to understand if the hash map has a key. Let's say we check, does the hash map has a key, Aditya? Right? It will either give me true or false, and I will do a sys out and I will correct, guys. But typically, how we print or how we use, I say if hm dot contains key, and I say if the map has a key as John, in that case, you go inside that and then print out or give me the result, the value for John is. So, what is the result? And you will be writing hm dot get and I pass. Guys, does it make sense, all of you? Anyone who is not able to follow? I'll run this simply, and now the size is 4. Perfect. The size is 4. We are having it. Now tell me one thing. Why is the size 4? I had 5 keys over here. Anyone, guys? Come on, be quick. Guys, yes, tell me. Why is size coming as 4 when I had 5 values? So no one is able to come up with an answer. Guys, observe carefully. If you observe carefully, line number 9 and line number 13 or line number 12, both of them, this line and this 12 number have the same John. So what it does, it it looks for a value, it gets the same keys and simply update the key with that corresponding value. Does it make sense? Exactly. That's good, guys. That's very good. Correct, guys. Can I move ahead now? Now, I will give you a very good question. Trust me, you will be interested in exploring that question. Now, see, it is easy for me to compare string because Java knows how to compare string. Java knows how to compare integer. Let's say if I have a person, let's create a new class, a person class. So it does not need to have a main method. Now the person class is having an integer ID. I just take one integer ID and one string name. Everyone, is it making sense? I don't want to initialize it, nothing doing. Okay, let's even get a constructor also. No, not a problem. Now, I want you to help me in understanding how will we have a hash code or how we will have a equals method. So what we will do is we will get the equals method over here. So what it does is it gives me an object, an override statement, and what I say over here, if this dot id is equal to object dot id, which means if in case, just give me a second, why is it not working? In this case, I say return. Okay, no, let's wait. Let's leave this. Now, I have a very interesting case for you. So this will work. No one is having any doubts. A very interesting case. If I do a return false over here, I create a new class, which is my let's say person hm main. It has a main method. Now, what is this class having, guys? This class is a hash map of a integer value and of a person. So the integer key and person value. How many of you are able to understand this? Hm is equal to new hm. Does this guys make sense to all of you? I say person p equal to new person, and I give it an ID 1 and name John. Now, when I go over here, I say hm dot. When I put the key, what is the key? The key is p dot id, and I put the person object. Guys, does this part make sense? That how you can have a collection or a hash map with multiple or with custom objects? Does this part make sense to all of you? All of you are clear with this part? Now, I have got this. What I simply do, I say, I do a sys out saying hm dot get, and in get I say give me an hm whose id is 1. If I print this, I get the person object. How many of you are clear with this part? Yes, guys. Make sense, everyone? Okay, assuming it's making sense, and assume, and considering the time limitation we have, I dive into a very good use case. I reverse the logic. I say that I am having a hash map of person and integer. Correct, guys? Does this make sense to all of you? Now, what I do over here is I say hm test dot put. I put in p and the value I put as 1. How many of you are able to understand this? Yes, guys. How many of you are able to understand this part? Will this work, guys? Will the line number 19 work? And if it will work, what will be the output? Anyone, line number 19. I'm looking forward to the output from line number 19. No one is able to come up with it? Okay. Now, what it will do is I'll simply run this for you for a bit. And what it comes is, okay, wait. Println hm dot get of 1. Correct? This is working. Now, a very important interview question, and I have asked this. Now, I am saying return false, right? So, what is the impact? This is a question and a food for your thought. Try to understand and analyze if the equals method is giving me false every time. What is the impact of that? A food for thought for all of you guys. And I generate the toString method and I write this over here. Now let us run this. So I'm getting this perfect. That's good. And this is it. And this is it. Now, yes, this is working. So now with this, we are clear that how we can use a hash map with the integer and person, how we can use a hash map with the person and or a custom class and an integer. Yes, exactly. That's correct, Dudley. I will be coming to it. Yes, that's a very interesting case, and this is what I've given to you as a food for thought. If the equals method is coming and is always giving you false, what should happen? Think around this, and with this, I think I am done with my understanding of with my use case of how to generate a normal hash map. How are all these put statements working? How are these put statements working? That's first. Then what are the functions in hashmap? Size is one function, contains key is one another function, and get is another function. And moving on from there is my person class, which is over here. I just created this custom class for you to understand how this class can be used inside a hash map. Make sense? Now, what I do is I create a P1. Now, observe this thing very carefully, guys. I have inserted P with ID 1 and John. I create P1 with ID 1 and John, and I get P1, and I get this. Now, what will happen? It gives me null. Can anyone tell me why is this giving me a null? Daily, that is your question or the one that you were asking. Yes, you are correct, and this is how we can replicate this scenario. No, no, no. Aditya, if you understand, go back to the logic. It will insert, but it will always keep on adding a new element. Because when it's inserting, it is not looking for equals. Only when it finds a node is when it will look for equals. Observe this thing. Is it making sense now, Aditya? So that's why it says that though this person was same, but still we were not able to use this person. Correct, guys? Makes sense. Everyone. Anyone who is not able to follow. Okay, so guys, with that, I think so. Yes, so now that's why typically what we do whenever we are creating any object, we want to give a very good definition, and how we do that. There are multiple ways of doing it. Typically, what we will do in the person, we will say that if the ID of the numbers are two numbers are equal, it means that that person is same. That is a food for your thought. Understand this. And with that, I have tried to cover almost all angles of what we could cover. Now, just to answer a few questions which I could not answer while I was on a call. So, so what happens is, like we are saying that we are talking around big of one. See, the logic is so the example which we took of keys is a very simple example, modulus by 7. On a practical scenario, we don't have such simple hash codes. Our hash codes are known to generate we want a hash code which typically generates unique elements, and even if it's a list, that list is pretty small. So that's why typically it is in the order of one is what we actually come up with. Does that make sense? Okay, so now moving on further, some thoughts, think around this. If you were to write a hash code method, how will you write it? How many keys you want? And that is where we discuss the concepts of, cardinality and frequency. Okay, Abhinav is saying since new word is used, the object is different. Yes, Abhinav, what you are saying is correct. I'm using new keyword, but see, for me, okay, let's say I have a guy Abhinay who is attending a session. Now, how will I? So, if there are two Abhinay who try to join, how do we identify them? Either by your ID or by your name. So, though these were different, or though these are two different objects, I know that, but I want them to be treated like one because the internal structure what they are holding is the same thing. That is why we have to override, that is why we have to override the equals method and make it, adapt to our scenario. Abhinay, does that make sense? Okay. Okay, that's a good thing. Why do you need to learn programming? Again, uh, I would recommend that. See, like it's not that you should learn programming. You should learn programming if you are really interested in that. See, I learned programming because it was my passion. I used to enjoy doing this stuff, and I did it when I was, I think, in my higher school or in my senior secondary. So if you are not interested, then really, don't punch yourself. But okay, so see, like, and also what happens is sometimes what I've seen is people get uninterested, or they are not willing to learn programming because of their past experience. So like when you are in colleges, the way it is taught, it can be a bit difficult to cope up. And what happens is we eventually lose interest in programming. If you are a person who loves logic, who has an analytic mind, and who has a love for maths, chances are you will love programming a lot. So again, if not interested, no one is forcing you. But yes, if you have any of these things, then I would say, or I would suggest, give it a try at least once. It may turn out well for you. So with that being said, I think I am good from my side. Any questions I can take? Otherwise, Dhwani, over to you.
Thank you so much, Aditya. It was a great session. I'm sure everybody learned a lot from you. And seeing there are still so many people, and like there was active questioning. So I think this session was a huge success. So for all of you who are wondering how to connect with Aditya and go about this course, the course link and the code for discount is in the description. You can also take screenshot of this code and you can use this to avail a discount on this course, that is backend development using Java. So you can all note in this course, and then you can get more exposure to how to use Java for backend development. All things aside, thank you so much, Aditya, for such an informative session, and it was great having you here. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Be sure to enroll in this course, and I'm sure Aditya will be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. So you can connect with him on LinkedIn as well. So thank you so much, Aditya. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you guys, and thank you for coming on a weekend, and all the best. Happy coding and enjoy the rest of the day, guys.